Hey guys, I'm Joel.
And I'm Layla, and welcome to the Undecided Podcast.
Today we are going to be talking about the Megalodon.
I have a question. Why is everyone so obsessed with the Megalodon when, hear me out. The Megalodon was not ever the largest fish. It was just the largest shark, okay? But it was not the largest predator either.
You're talking about predator in the water?
Yeah, it was never the largest ocean predator. Do you want to know something cool?
I do.
There was this animal called the Leviathan whale. And it was larger than the Megalodon. And, you'll never believe this, it had the same hunting patterns as the orca. And you know orcas are crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The Leviathan whale?
Yeah. This giant whale.
Is this thing like real?
Yes, it existed. You can look it up.
I'm
but
looking it up right now.
There's no real pictures because it was like millions of years ago. But
The Leviathan whale.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it was bigger than the Megalodon, and it was probably even more ruthless because orcas are killer.
Oh my gosh, this thing is massive. For everyone listening, it literally is just a mega-sized whale.
Yeah, and the teeth are the biggest teeth of any ocean creature that we know of. The Leviathan whale teeth.
But everyone wants to talk about the Megalodon.
That's what I'm saying. And I would love to talk about the Megalodon. But I just am a little confused where that comes from because I don't think a lot of people know that because I think the interest...
I've never heard of the Leviathan whale.
I think a lot of people are interested in the Megalodon because they're like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if we still had this giant ocean predator? But I'm like, there was a bigger one. there was a worse ocean predator at some point.
Maybe.
Look, it was a hunter of the Megalodon because orcas hunt.
But I think what everyone is thinking though, the whole popularity behind the Megalodon is people think that the Megalodon is still alive.
Oh, yeah. But I think that there would be more conspiracies about the Leviathan whale if people knew about it. That's all I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
I think if that was more common knowledge, people would be like, oh, what if the Leviathan whale's still around?
Well, is the Megalodon considered a dinosaur?
No, but that's another thing for me. It's, it was around... The Megalodon is not related to the great white, by the way.
I didn't think so.
Yes. And it's the last of its line of ancestors. The Megalodon was. It died out, and it was the last one.
Okay.
Allegedly died out.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it was the last one. And before then, the whole lineage of megalodons existed for 64 million years. And then 3 million years ago, the megalodon supposedly went extinct during the most recent ice age.
But then, as of more recently, people are thinking that they are seeing the Megalodon.
I don't even think that the conspiracy comes from sightings of the Megalodon. I think it comes more from actual conspiratorial thought processes. Because when I was reading about it, I was kind of thinking myself I don't understand some of this because a lot of a lot of professionals, scientists, were talking about how the Megalodon, it makes sense for it to have died out so recently because that was during the Ice Age, and because it was so big, it needed a lot of food, and a lot of its food sources were probably migrating or they died out themselves.
Yeah.
So it died as well. But I'm wondering if those food sources migrated and evolved to that different climate, why couldn't the Megalodon also do that?
Absolutely, the apex predator other than the Leviathan whale.
Other than the Leviathan whale, yeah.
Why could it not also adapt to that? Well, I definitely think that people have had some sightings. This picture specifically, I don't know, I'm going to blow it up for you to see.
Okay.
It's an old photo for sure, but for everyone listening, it's a picture of a boat, and there's two fins coming out of the water
Is that real?
close to the boat. I mean, it's the one that I've seen the most. And it's close to the boat, and based off of the math people have done, they're saying that between the dorsal fin and the actual like shark fin, that it's 64 feet, aka around the size of a megalodon.
Okay.
And so I definitely think, I mean, I don't know if you're an avid Shark Week watcher, but usually there is an episode that is kind of centered around the megalodon. I think what people are thinking is that megalodon, you know, I don't think there's just one megalodon. I think there's like multiple.
Well, yeah, you think the species
The
still
species,
exists.
yeah.
I definitely can get behind that in the way that it doesn't make sense to me that it couldn't have evolved, because if it lasted for 64 million years and it died out so recently, like on the time scale, like obviously 3 million years ago is not that recent, but compared to how long it was here for,
Compared to 64 million, absolutely.
It's a really short period of time. And I don't understand that if some of the food sources could evolve and could move to colder waters, like, you know, why couldn't the megalodon do that? And a lot of, like, scientists, marine biologists, they will say it's not real, it doesn't still exist because it couldn't live in those cold waters. Why? I feel like evolution proves that, like, I guess, like, organisms and animals will evolve to their climate.
Absolutely. I mean, actual evolution, I'm saying Darwinism, stuff like that. I mean, if we're talking about an animal that was alive for 64 million years, like you said.
Yeah.
And I mean, an impressive species at that.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden is it just gone? What happened to it? I'm saying, what's the explanation?
And the great white shark, its ancestors, like, existed during the time of the megalodon, as did the whale, the Leviathan whale. And if it could survive 64 million years with other huge predators that it was competing with, why did a change in climate, like, wipe out the entire population? Why was there no evolutionary?
Absolutely.
Why was that not going on?
And I think people are quick to say that it just died out because we can't find them. And I think that's why people are so easy to say, like, oh, well, they just died 3 million years ago. But I definitely think that, like, a popular idea that people are having right now is, and I agree with it, is that, you know, you hear all the time, oh, we haven't explored 95% of...
I looked that up because I've heard that argument.
Yes.
We have only explored or mapped 25%.
It's 25%. Okay,
well,
so it's more than what I thought.
That includes mapping, you know? And even then, they're like, the mapping is really general. Like, there's no details.
Yeah, but I think one of the crazy things I've ever seen is, have you ever seen the scale of how far down the ocean goes?
No, I haven't. I understand that it's really deep, but I've never seen
I saw,
scale.
like, an actual scale one time. Like, the tallest building in the world doesn't even get close to hitting the ocean surface.
Yeah.
And what I think what happened is I think that the megalodons actually are doing the opposite of what people think. And like what you said, I think that they adapted so much that they just went deeper than we can explore.
No, I think that that's actually what most people say.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think people are like, what if it's in the Marianas Trench? Because we haven't even been there.
Yeah.
Or at least not, like, a significant amount. And or what if it's just really deep? Because the thing is, it totally could be, because a lot of marine biologists, they say it needs a lot of food to survive. And just keeping that in mind, I think that the giant squid or the blue whale, both really deep dwelling sea creatures, like the sperm whale goes really far down. Like, these are some really big creatures that live that deep, like that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might be sufficient enough for it, like, assuming that it hasn't evolved to need less food. Because that's another thing that I feel like, I don't know, I'm not a marine biologist, but when they say, like, it needs a lot of food, I say, why couldn't it adapt to need less food? Like, maybe it got smaller.
I mean, I think that's a perfect point. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Is Maybe it did just get smaller because of the less abundance
Yeah.
of food. But then at that point, if it gets smaller, is it even a megalodon?
I mean, if it's related to the megalodon, yeah. But like, I think it could still be the biggest shark that we know of, because the biggest great white we've ever found was like just under 20 feet, and the megalodon was like 65.
Yeah.
So the megalodon could be like 30 feet long on average, and like still be significantly smaller and need less food.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I do not see why not. Look how much other animals and things have changed in
Yeah.
our time and throughout things like that. And I mean, people have tried to find these things though. And I guess I just think to myself though, is that, I mean, to go as deep into the ocean as we're talking, that requires extreme evolution. I mean, that's a temperature change. I
I'm
mean,
thinking
there is
maybe.
absolutely no light whatsoever down there.
No, you're right. But I don't know if it went down that far, because if it did, then it probably wouldn't even be a shark anymore. It wouldn't, like, because those animals are very, like, not blubbery, but they don't have much, like, cartilage or skeleton.
Hmm.
They're very, like, I don't know the word to describe it, but very loose almost,
Yeah,
because of how deep it is and the pressure.
yeah.
So I don't think it could survive down there as it was. I mean, who's to say it's not, like, the deepest dwelling, I want to say normal creature we know of is the sperm whale.
Hmm.
Why isn't it down there with them? Do we go down that far on the reg?
But I guess what I'm thinking though is that we, if we have information on the sperm whale, and let's say that the megalodon preys on the sperm whale,
Uh-huh.
maybe it doesn't, but if the sperm whale lives down there with megalodons, why haven't we found a megalodon? If we can find sperm whales, they have to be deeper. I mean, that's the only explanation if we are going with the idea that they exist, is that they have to be deeper than sperm whales because we can see sperm whales
How often do we see them?
more often than we see megalodons.
Oh, for sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm like, if like seeing a sperm whale is kind of like a rare occurrence,
Hmm.
then that would make enough sense to me.
But I just think that we have spent years, like, actually trying to find the megalodon. If we spent as much effort trying to find the megalodon as we would a sperm whale, oh my gosh, we would find it within the same week.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, but we have like made an actual effort to try to locate a meg, but we have not been able
Well,
to.
there's another whale. I was wrong. There's another whale that goes even deeper, with the record-breaking whale dive. It's called the Cuvier's beaked whale, and its dive was nearly 10,000 feet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it can hold its breath for 3 hours under there.
And then it has to come all the way back up or what?
I assume so, yeah. That one is the one that goes the lowest.
Is 10,000 feet a lot? I wonder.
Let's look at that depth scale again.
Yeah, look up the depth scale. It actually is really, really interesting. I don't know. Me personally, as much as I have a lot of my own theories about the ocean and things like that, I am not a megalodon believer.
I don't necessarily believe in it, but I feel like I don't understand why it doesn't exist.
Like why we can't find it, or you
No.
don't like how it went extinct.
I don't understand, I guess, how it went extinct, because I feel like if it was alive, we would have found it. I don't know, because like I was saying, like with evolution, I feel like there's a lot of ways it could have evaded dying due to temperature change.
I agree.
You know, and that is what confuses me.
I mean,
Because,
animals constantly adapt over time.
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it just happened too rapidly for it to evolve, but I just don't know. That's what confuses me. I'm like, why did it?
Were megalodons like the same time period as like dinosaurs?
No.
They were not.
No, not like the Megalodon we know of. I mean, its ancestor might have lived alongside them.
Mm-hmm. But not like the actual Megalodon that we think of.
No. Let me check.
Well, now the Megalodon's like crazy popular now all of a sudden. They've made 2 Megalodon movies.
Did you know? I know you watch Shark Week sometimes.
Sometimes.
Discovery Channel made a documentary, 2, 3 really, about the Megalodon and interviewed like actors pretending to be professionals, like making it seem like the Megalodon was still real, and published a bunch of doctored photos. And some people, this is kind of disputed on the internet. I can't find any definitive answer to this, but some people were like, they did that before disclaiming that it was false.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people are like, no, they did disclaim that it was false at the beginning, but it was really brief. And so it really fooled a lot of people, especially considering Discovery Channel is supposed to be informative.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they did that. And then they made a sequel where it was like fact versus fiction or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or like new evidence. It was something like that.
Yeah.
And then they made another one. Oh no, the second one they made was new evidence, but there like wasn't new evidence. They just were talking about it more. And then they made one in 2018 called Fact versus Fiction, where I guess that one was more clear that it's not real. But yeah.
Oh, so Discovery has come out and said like, oh, the Megalodon's not real.
Yeah, but only after their controversy. Like I think that might be one of the reasons why.
Oh, you're saying they said that the first documentary that they made was not real.
Yeah.
Not the Megalodon. Okay, I understand now.
That's why I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it's so popular, the conspiracy, because that was the most ever watched Shark Week special to date.
Yeah.
The Megalodon documentary.
I guess I just don't know. Like, I mean, the stat that we only have explored, mapped 25% of our planet's water, I often think about everything that can be under there. I feel like I don't always like think straight to like a Megalodon. I'm not like, oh my gosh, there's a Meg. I think of like crazier things than that. So I kind of get lost on the big hype around the Megalodon. I mean, to me, it just sounds like a big shark.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think there's, and I guess
I'm more interested in that whale.
the Leviathan whale, I mean, that does
That's
sound
pretty
even
killer.
crazier. I mean, obviously it's bigger.
Like that would be so scary.
I don't know. I think sharks are much more popular.
Yeah. I do think this is an interesting fact that I came across. That scientists estimate there are probably 1 million species total in the ocean, not including microorganisms, because that's like, you can't count that.
Yeah.
But 1 million visible species in the ocean, and we haven't discovered 2/3 of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that really is like, that resonates with me, because I feel like when you talk about species and you talk about not exploring the ocean, I think, well, all there's left to discover is probably just microorganisms, like nothing interesting.
Yeah, like little tiny things.
But this says that we haven't even discovered probably around like 500,000 to 750,000 visible large species.
Oh my God.
in
How
the
many did
ocean.
you say there was in total?
They estimate between 700,000 and 1 million species in the ocean total,
Okay.
not including the microorganisms.
And we haven't seen 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3 of them.
So about, yeah.
And there's almost 2,000 new species accepted by the scientific community each year.
Whoa.
And so that's my thing. Like, that really does leave a lot of room for like some really cool discoveries, really cool animals, you know? And I just wonder, do you really think that all of those are like the deep dwelling, weird looking creatures like anglerfish? Like, what if some of them are like surface dwellers? They're just really like endangered or really shy? I don't know.
No, I mean, I completely get that. I mean, like we said, they could just be in parts of the ocean that we have not been to. I mean, there's no way that at one time we can completely explore all of the water. And so maybe, like you said, maybe they are extremely good at being shy in the fact that if they were to see anything that could possibly point them out, that they just
I mean,
get
I'm
away.
not even thinking of Megalodon right now because
Yeah.
I feel like sharks have never been that smart. Like orca whales are known to be really smart.
Really smart.
As are dolphins.
Yeah.
Which orcas are dolphins, if you didn't know that.
What?
I know.
How so?
They're just literally a species of dolphin. Orca whales.
That's really weird.
I know. Like, why are they
They're
called
kind of like
whales?
they're like the zebras of the ocean.
But they look more like dolphins if you, like, oh, they're kind of creepy. I don't know.
They look, I mean, now that you say that, they do kind of look like
Yeah, but it
whale
makes more
dolphins.
sense because I feel like, I'm not saying whales are dumb. I don't know anything about whales, but I know that dolphins
Not
are
as
really
in
smart.
dolphins are insanely smart.
Yeah.
So that does make a little bit more sense.
So, I don't know.
Interesting
Like,
fact of the day.
Yeah, interesting fact. I'm not necessarily saying that the megalodon is hiding, but I do think that there probably are a lot of things hiding.
Oh, I agree.
Like the ones who don't necessarily live in
Yeah, not the weird.
deepest depths where the light doesn't touch. There
Yeah,
are probably some hiding close up.
Oh, I agree. I mean, like I said, or I mean, I think a big thing like that you just mentioned that makes me think is like, what if they're just insanely relative species to things that we have already found, but they're just different? Like how as we mentioned, what if the Meg is just smaller?
Yeah.
And what if we just confuse them with?
That would be really believable to me. But the megalodon actually looks really different from the great white shark.
Does it really?
Yes. A lot of people don't know that. And a lot of the illustrations you find don't depict that. But they're supposed to have really stubby, short snouts as opposed to the great white's like pointed one.
Interesting.
And their fins look different. They're really like, I think they're supposed to be really long and like narrow.
Gross.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, like I said.
But like how often, I genuinely don't know this. This is more hypothetical though. Like how often do we even see sharks?
I think often.
But like, I just don't know.
Do you mean like by accident or how often do we search out sharks? We see
Search
sharks all
out.
the time.
Like search them out.
I think we see them all the time.
Like,
you ever watch Shark Week?
Yeah, but like even then.
It's a week's worth of sharks.
Yeah, but that's 1 week a year.
Well, they gather that throughout the year.
Do they?
Of course.
Oh.
I mean,
I've really never
think
seen
about
Shark
like
Week.
think about like a marine biologist.
I know, but that actually is like a really dwindling job right now.
Is it?
Yeah, like it's really difficult to find a career in that field. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what marine biologists do on the daily, but
I don't know if they do either. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds like it.
I don't think that the megalodon is real. If it is, it's definitely a shrunk version of it.
I would agree.
I don't mean real. I mean like alive.
I definitely do not think that it's still 64 feet.
Definitely not. We would have seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Because if we can see other things like that, but...
Especially since it really does need to eat so much food. And I feel like we would find the corpses. Because even now, we have found, like, whale bones and stuff with, like, megalodon chips of their teeth in them. And that's how we know that megalodons hunted whales.
Yeah.
Like, really old, obviously. Like, old fossilized things. But... I don't know. Like, that's what I mean. I feel like we would find some inkling of this giant predator.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, no matter how deep it may be, it needs to be somewhere to where it can eat. I mean, if we go with the idea that these megalodons that people believe in, like the 64-foot shark, there's no way that they're just bottom feeders.
No,
they can't be.
No.
But I don't know. I still find it so hard to believe that we have barely explored only a quarter of the ocean's waters.
That's awesome to me because I feel like I can imagine so many cool ocean creatures. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, believable.
Yeah.
But like I just don't believe that there's a giant predator.
I mean, they're still finding species of animals on land.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there are some really cool things out there.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I don't think that there's a predator larger than the great white or the orca. I'm not sure which one is bigger because the orca's pretty big.
Aren't belugas? Not belugas. I do love beluga whales though, by the way. They're like my favorite sea creature.
Aww.
But isn't a sperm whale massive?
But that's not a predator, I mean.
Oh, you're talking about like the big predators.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I feel like,
got it.
yeah. The blue whale's the biggest in the whole ocean.
And like I said, there's no way that they have to be eating. I mean, we could honestly go with the fact that maybe. So let's think about this. Think about the prehistoric, all the sea creatures that we've heard of, the Leviathan whale. I mean, the Megalodon. Do you think that
Killer whales are 30 feet long. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
killer whales,
Orcas.
30? Oh, those are killer whales?
Yeah.
They're 30 feet long?
That's insane to me.
That's
I'm
terrifying.
Sorry. That's horrifying.
It
Okay.
is horrifying.
Continue.
No, that was a great fact. You can interrupt with facts like that all the time. But maybe all these prehistoric animals have been pushed down.
I can see that, but they would look so much different than we know them as.
Exactly.
And they would behave so much differently.
And maybe that's why they're different.
Yeah.
And I'm saying maybe something happened like on the surface level to those normal levels of water
Like the Ice Age.
to where they've been pushed down.
Okay.
And they've changed completely. And maybe a couple of them haven't. Maybe
So like what you're saying is like if we found like a new creature deep down and we like DNA tested it and found it was a relative of like the Megalodon or like a dinosaur or something crazy, you would not be surprised. Like you'd be like, okay, yeah, like that makes sense. It was just pushed down.
I think so.
But like not like a literal Megalodon, just like something.
No, not like an actual 64-foot Megalodon.
I get it.
I just don't think it'd be possible for it to live somewhere deep enough that we couldn't explore. It's massive, and we see other massive sea creatures all the time. And I feel like we've made like a real good effort to try to find one of these things.
Do you think that there are any more really big sea creatures that we haven't found?
Oh
like really
my
big.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a crazy person. One thing I've always thought with the whole we haven't explored like the ocean's waters is, and get ready because this may change your opinion of me.
Okay.
I think that like how deep the ocean actually goes, I feel like there's almost like underwater aliens.
Well, yeah, they probably do look like aliens. Like, have you seen an anglerfish?
Yeah, but I'm talking about like I think there's like
literal aliens,
like people,
like okay. My thing
like
is
fish people.
Okay, but I've
Atlantis.
thought about okay. I hear you and I see you. I've thought about that in the way of like mermaids because I think there has to be something to that, you know?
Yeah.
But I have thought about it and I'm like, if they're really that similar to people, how could they survive that deep? Because we couldn't, we'd be crushed, you know?
Yeah.
Like their composition must be so, it would have to be so different.
Mm-hmm. So, you know,
I feel like most of the things that live that far down are very like boneless.
Everyone has their different beliefs that, you know, I'm saying we have people who, you know, believe in evolution and then people who believe in like a creator. And
yeah.
So let's go with evolution. Let's just think about that real quick. People think that we were derived or we are derived from monkeys, that like the monkey evolved into being a person. What's stopping that from happening underwater?
I think it was originally a fish.
You're right. We did come out of the water. Or at least so.
Maybe some of us stayed in the water.
Exactly. So I'm saying that's what I mean is...
But I don't know if they would look humanoid because...
I don't think they would. I think that they would look like fish.
But maybe they're like as intelligent as humans, do you think?
Yes.
Okay. And they behave like humans maybe?
I mean, if we were able to do this on... So think about how fish live. How fish, you know, they take the...
You think that there are some like really intelligent ones who like created a civilization?
Yeah.
Okay, but they're not like people. They're like fish.
Fish people.
Okay, I have to... The only way that I can get behind that is like that they don't look like people because then they couldn't survive that far down.
But how do you know that?
Because we couldn't survive that far down.
But maybe they're thinking, how are we surviving so far up?
Blowing my mind here.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
I think maybe they're thinking like, whoa.
I think it's
how
entirely...
are they? There's no way there's people way up there. How are they surviving?
I think it's entirely possible that there is a species of fish that is as intelligent as you're saying. I think that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, quite
Like,
literally,
what makes us more intelligent than they are? It's not because we live on land.
and maybe they think that they're more intelligent than us because they can
Yeah.
survive underwater.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could survive underwater.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Literal fish people.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we were to tie the Megalodon into that,
Okay.
like I said, maybe in my non-professional opinion,
Okay.
I don't know why I want to think like, I feel like the deeper you go into the ocean, I feel like you hit a certain point to where it's not just pitch black and to where it's not just the surface. We have never touched the surface of like the deep parts of the ocean. Not even close.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm saying, how am I supposed to know that? People don't, or that, when we hit that certain point, what if it flips?
You say, what if it gets light again in the ocean?
Yeah. Like, what if there's like,
I mean, how would that work?
no idea. I don't think fish people have a true theory.
I think that fish people might just have night vision and be able to see in the dark.
Like how the bottom feeders do.
Yeah, like I think that it probably is as dark down there, but like not to them.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine the sun just like changing.
Earlier you said that these things were pushed down from the ice age.
Okay, maybe.
And I think that's an incredible, incredible thought.
Thank you.
That maybe they were. I mean,
I just don't know why they
how do we
evolve.
know?
Like, why wouldn't they adapt to that?
The deep, deep parts of the ocean.
Okay.
Obviously, temperatures drop.
Yeah.
How do we know it's still not frozen?
Okay, wait. No, that blew my mind.
How do we know it's still not
that blew my mind.
In the deep, deep parts of the ocean, like the ones we have not seen? How do we know it's
why
not
wouldn't
frozen?
it would be frozen? It could be. It totally could be.
I completely think it would be.
And what if there's like creatures frozen in there that are like prehistoric?
And maybe in the Megalodon sighting that we've seen, that was one that got out.
Oh.
Like I said, let's put our brain into
Okay.
like prehistoric area.
Okay.
Like time.
Okay.
And think about all the Megalodon, Leviathan whale that were swimming much, much higher.
Right.
Now,
The Leviathan whale is probably pretty low though.
but what I'm saying though is that at the time it was low, but not as low as what we're currently
Do you
talking.
think this guy is?
What
in
is
there?
that?
I literally just looked up prehistoric sea creature. It says it is. It doesn't say actually.
Okay, let me see it again real quick for everyone listening.
It looks just like maybe a long neck dinosaur, but with fins.
I was gonna say it looks like a long neck dolphin turtle. Would you
Definitely
agree?
a dolphin. No shell, but like it's sort of shaped.
No
it's
shell,
sort
but
of
it's shaped like a turtle without
yeah.
a shell.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying though, back to the frozen bottom ocean theory that we are going to create.
I like that. Okay, but we have to get our facts straight though. Like, why would it not be frozen? Is there like a thing with salt water where like salt water doesn't freeze?
I don't know. I guess we are kind of going off of a whim here. But I don't know.
Okay, listen.
But how would we know?
Okay, this is crazy. It's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, so government, right? Ocean water freezes just like fresh water, but at lower temperatures. Fresh water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and seawater freezes at 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So my thing is, why would it not be frozen? Like, it makes less sense for it to be liquid.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
obviously it's not frozen to the point to where we can see it, but we don't know how deep it goes. We haven't been the furthest down possible. There could be megalodons, leviathan whales, fish people frozen underneath this water, and we have no idea. And instead of going with the idea that these things exist, we just write them off. We just write them off as dead, which I think is unfair.
People are saying that the bottom of the ocean is about 39 degrees Fahrenheit. But that seems too warm to me.
Who is saying that the bottom of the ocean is 39 degrees Fahrenheit?
The government.
Have they been there?
I don't know. How do we know that?
There's no way that people who have only explored 25% of the oceans, of the world's ocean,
My thing is, you're absolutely right.
can tell me how the temperature of the bottom of the ocean.
No, you're absolutely right. And my thing is, I'm a little bit like, I don't believe that at all because I feel like anything could survive in that temperature. Like, that's not a crazy low temperature at all.
Mm-mm.
Like, I feel like humans do ice baths in temperatures way lower than that.
Way lower.
And, like, we obviously couldn't survive in that. But, like, you're telling me that the Antarctica, like the Arctic Ocean,
Yeah.
is like
39 degrees.
39 degrees?
Doubt it.
It's probably colder in the air.
Yeah. And how do we know that these things didn't migrate?
And it's the bottom of the ocean, so no sunlight is even, like, reaching it.
But how do we know that the bottom of the ocean that we think is the bottom of the ocean is actually the bottom of the ocean?
No, you're right. I'm saying that's unbelievable to me. It has to be much lower than that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything would just be living down there.
Well, as professional conspiracy theorists like ourselves, we have to question everything.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe that either. Whether or not it's frozen, okay, it's got to be colder than 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
For sure.
That's insane.
No, there's no way.
I could live in that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
With the other fish people, maybe.
Yeah, like uncomfortably, but we go out in 40 degrees all the time.
Yeah, I know, I understand. I think water is a bit different, but yeah. I think if you took a 40-degree shower, you'd be like, oh my God, this is freezing cold.
Yeah, but like, what if you were just submerged in it, though?
I mean, people have submerged themselves in much colder water.
Yeah.
I think that after a while, your body would start to shut down because then you're going to be lowering your body's
That's
temperature.
also because we're accustomed to not that. Meanwhile,
You're saying live in it?
the fish people, though, are they have evolved to that. We haven't. So, of course, it would be unnatural for us.
Exactly. So, the whole evolution thing, like you said, we were once fish. How do we know that some didn't go down? Some came out of the water. How do we know some didn't go deeper into the water?
I fully think that they did because I just cannot believe. I don't really know what scientists claim about the Ice Age and the sea creatures.
Mhm.
I just know about the Megalodon because that's what I was looking into. And they were like, no, it died because of the Ice Age. Then why didn't everything else die?
Exactly.
Like I don't get that. Like,
And
I
how do
feel
we
like,
know things died because of the Ice Age?
I just feel like they had to have evolved. Like, Ice Ages last a long time. Like,
No, I agree. But like I said, how do we know that they died?
there was definitely some evolution going on there that we are not considering.
I don't know.
Some-
I think
some migration.
I think they went deeper, the Megalodon. And what I think what happened was I got it. I just wrapped it all up in my head and it
Okay.
makes perfect sense.
Wrapped it up in a bow.
Yes. Ice Age, all these prehistoric sea creatures went lower into the oceans or the Earth's oceans. And what I think what happened is that over time, we are beginning to believe and find out more of these things. We find 2,000 more species a year, and we've seen a picture of a megalodon, or we find stuff out about, we found megalodon teeth in whales, and we discover all these new species. And the reason that we haven't discovered all of them is because they're not all out of the ice yet. And you want to know why that some are coming out?
Yeah, why? 'Cause of
Global warming. The ice at the bottom of the ocean is melting, letting out these species. So who knows?
Oh my
Maybe in
God.
30, 40,
Global
50 years,
warming.
we're going to start seeing, because like you said,
Wait, that's literally like the plot of one of the Ice Age movies.
yeah,
Wait.
they were warning us.
It was a premonition.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like you said, all we have found are these microorganisms. Those got to be, they can slip out easily.
Yeah.
But think about, as if the Earth keeps getting warmer, what could be in the ice of the bottom of the ocean that is going to come out? We have no idea. I'm correlating with the fact that you mentioned earlier of that we discover about 2,000 species every.
No, and I actually think that makes a lot of sense. And whether or not there's actually ice at the bottom, I think that you have a good point about global warming, and that maybe has something to do with why we discover more species, because maybe more are coming up to the surface.
Yeah.
Maybe their bodies are adapting to the temperature change.
Or maybe because of global warming. I mean, the Earth has been getting more and more
It's
and more
very
warm.
gradual.
Yeah.
So maybe they've had time to like evolve a little bit, adapt a little bit.
Maybe they're not even frozen. Maybe that the bottom of the ocean just became more habitable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more because of how warmer it's gotten.
Yeah.
Maybe more species went down there because they can.
Maybe that's why it's allegedly 40 degrees down there, because of global warming. Because that seems like a pretty warm temperature for the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Where no
But
sunlight
we don't
hits.
even know what the bottom is.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest tie-ins to the Megalodon that we have right now are the bottom of the ocean, the temperature of the bottom of the ocean, and global warming. I feel like there's a lot of things underneath there
But the Megalodon,
that are
as
much,
we know
much
it.
more important than the Megalodon.
Oh, I fully agree. Like mermaids.
Leviathan whale.
The Leviathan whale is frozen, and I know it.
Fish people.
The fish people in their civilization.
I think there's fish in the middle, that there's mermaids. And then frozen in that bottom of the ocean, fish people.
I know there are mermaids.
You do?
I know they are.
There has to be.
There has to be. Especially with this theory. I fully agree on this.
Yeah. So I think right now we have to decide.
I think we're decided. I think that the Megalodon, as we know it, is extinct. But who's to say that it didn't evolve into a new species who lives in the ice at the bottom of the ocean?
I am actually going to disagree.
Wow.
I'm going to
Do you
say
think
that
the Megalodon exactly as we know it?
I think that it still exists, and I think my new profound frozen
revise.
bottom of the theory. I think that the Megalodon still exists, and I think they're almost even preserved in the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, I'm going to revise.
They changed their habitat.
I think that if there is ice at the bottom of the ocean, if it's frozen, it exists as we know it, because that's preserving it.
Yeah.
Same with the other prehistoric creatures like the Leviathan whale. So if there is ice at the bottom of the ocean, it exists as we know it.
Yeah.
And if there's not, it might exist differently, having evolved because of the global warming theory that Joel has brought up.
And to your point too, you said 3 million years ago they said it went extinct. Mm-hmm. Obviously, because of global warming, the bottom of the ocean surely must be warmer than it once was.
Oh yeah.
And so maybe, like we said, not only if they're frozen and preserved down there, and as the earth heats up, that ice down there melts, different organisms come up, go whatever. Or maybe the bottom of the ocean is just a better place for them to live, and they're able to live down there.
Yeah.
So I would say that we're about half decided.
We're about half decided. It really depends on the ice, I think.
It does. Very, very interesting, though. A good topic.
Really good topic.
And I think that we're going to have to wait a few years, many, to see.
Maybe.
Maybe it'll be past our lifetime.
Maybe.
Okay, guys. Well, I've been Joel.
And I've been Layla.
And thank you for listening to the Undecided Podcast.